Is my screen is visible? Is it visible? Okay. So up to last class we have seen our semiconductor. We have started semiconductor and we have seen intrinsic semiconductor, right? So how we will go with the extrinsic from the intrinsic? If we are having the doping, right? If we are having the doping with us, then we can able to get the extrinsic semiconductor. So first let us see extrinsic semiconductor, then we will go with another topic, extrinsic semiconductor. Okay. So how we are making extrinsic? If to an intrinsic semiconductor small amount of some selected impurity atoms are added, then free electrons or holes are generated by excitation from the impurity atom. Let us consider we are having the extrinsic semiconductor with us. With that, some small amount of some selected impurity atoms, some specific impurity atoms we need to add, so that free electrons and holes are generated by the excitation from the impurity atom. This addition of small percentage of impurity atoms to a semiconductor is called doping. Is it clear? Disturbance in the sense noise. Okay, 1 minute. Now it is clear? A still problem? Okay. So what I was saying is that if to some intrinsic semiconductor noise, what kind of noise you are finding? I don't know. Okay, so what should I do? Okay. Now it is clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Everyone?
Hello, sir.
Yes? Clear my voice?
नहीं कोई साउंड ही नहीं आ रहा.
हेलो हेलो
मैं वो एको टिक करने के चक्कर में
हेलो 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 क्लियर?
क्या सर क्लियर? आवाज नहीं आ रहा है।
I am just writing, I am not talking right now. Okay, so what I was saying was if small amount of selected impurity atoms are added, and as a result some free electrons and holes are generated by the excitation from those impurity atoms. So this addition of small percentage of impurity atoms to a semiconductor is known as doping. Okay, and the impurity that is added is known as dopants, and the impurity that are added are known as dopants. Okay, so the semiconductor with these impurities is referred as doped or impure or extrinsic semiconductor. Okay, after doping, a semiconductor with impurity is known as doped or impure or extrinsic semiconductor. Okay. So the electrical conductivity of an extrinsic semiconductor is solely controlled by the excess free electrons or holes that are produced by the impurity. So after getting this extrinsic semiconductor, the conductivity is completely controlled by the excess free electrons and holes which are generated after the addition of impurity atom. Of extrinsic semiconductor is controlled by the excess which are generated after addition of dopants, that is excess free electrons and holes produced by the impurity atom. Okay.
Sir, in the first paragraph slide, what have you written? The impurity that are added known as
Doped or impure or extrinsic semiconductor. Either it is known as doped or impure semiconductor or extrinsic semiconductor. Clear? So already we know what are the different dopants are available to get a specific semiconductor. So if we suppose to have germanium or silicon intrinsic semiconductor, then addition of group 5 elements like phosphorus, antimony and arsenic, which will give us some excess free electrons, these are known as n-type extrinsic semiconductor. If we are having the group 3 impurity elements like boron, aluminum, indium and gallium, then we are supposed to have excess holes. So as a result, p-type semiconductor are produced. Okay, right? So if we mix group 5 impurity like phosphorus, antimony, arsenic, then we are supposed to get n-type semiconductor. If we are mixing with group 3 impurity like boron, aluminum, then indium, then gallium, then we are supposed to have p-type semiconductor. Okay. Now let us go with the crystal structure, crystal lattice structure for the n-type semiconductor. And we have been considered germanium crystal. So on that we supposed to mix antimony. Let us consider. So antimony is having 5 valence electrons, right? So let us consider antimony in the middle, that is having 5 valence electrons, and one here. Let us consider. Then we are all around we are having our germanium. All around we are having our germanium. Okay, so here this atom is from, let us consider it is from antimony. Okay, so this free electron are available in this case because this extra electron which is not participate in covalent bond formation, it remains as free electron in this crystal after mixing this crystal with impure, that is antimony. Okay, so we can consider this one as free electron. Okay, so this is a structure for the n-type semiconductor after mixing with group 5 impure atoms. Now if we see this energy diagram for this, let us consider this is our band gap. Let us consider, I have been creating some higher band gap. No think about this. It is the band gap for the semiconductor. So this is the conduction band, this is the valence band. So after introducing an impure atom, an energy state is introduced due to this impure atom, and this energy state is occupied by this free electron from the crystal, from the extrinsic crystal. So this energy state, it is just below the conduction band of the intrinsic semiconductor. So if this is the intrinsic semiconductor, this is the conduction band for the intrinsic semiconductor, and this is the level of the lowest energy state of this intrinsic semiconductor, then after mixing with some impure atom, an extra energy state is introduced just below the conduction band. That energy state is having some energy value like del E. This is the band gap, and this energy state is recognized as donor energy level or donor level. Because why we have been saying it is as donor? Because this extra impure atom are giving an extra free electron to the crystal. This extra free electron is somewhat, it is donating to the whole crystal due to this impure atom. So we can say the atom is added, it is giving some extra electron. So after giving this extra electron, which was previously in the valence band of that isolated impure atom, now it shifted to the conduction band. Now it shifted from this valence band to the conduction band, but not exactly at the location where the conduction band is existing for this crystal, but somewhat lower than this. This energy state which is being introduced by the impure atom, that is known as donor energy state or donor level. Now when this atom is donating an extra electron, now the total energy of that atom is not at all same as the total charge. If you have been considering the charge in the nucleus and the charge in the outer shells are not at all same. Now due to this one extra electron which has been donated, now one negative charge has been decreased in the outer shell of that atom. So we can say the total charge of that atom becomes positive because one negative. So let us consider in the nucleus it is having plus 10. So same, the outer shell altogether will also be having negative of 10 charge. So one extra electron as it has been donated. Now the positive charge has increased in the nucleus. So the whole charge as a consequence it is having more positive charge. So after donating this extra electron to the crystal, this atom now become a positive ion. This atom now become a positive ion, and that positive ion is known as immobile ion. This ion can't move in the crystal. The free electron which has been going to the conduction band, now it becomes free and it contributes the current in the external circuit. Okay, so as a consequence we can say that extra atom which has been added, now it becomes a positive ion because one of the electron has been left from its outermost shell. Okay, so this is the crystal structure for the n-type semiconductor. Now as the electrons are coming into picture for the electrical current in the external circuit, so we can say these electrons for this n-type semiconductor are recognized as the majority carrier. This electron are recognized as the majority carrier for this n-type semiconductor, and holes which have been created due to the thermal excitation which have been in the valence, they are known as minority carriers. So these electrons here are known as majority carrier, and holes are known as minority carrier. Okay, so what we have been added, a 5 impure atom. Now if we go with this p-type semiconductor, we are supposed to add an group 3 element. So same crystal, on the same crystal, let us say germanium crystal, on that we have been mixing with an group 3 element. Yes?
In n-type semiconductor, how can be there holes? There are 3 electrons only, yeah?
Right, but we can say if we consider an intrinsic semiconductor, on the intrinsic semiconductor we can have the electron and hole both by the thermal excitation. Now when this impure atom has been added, numbers of electrons which are coming to the conduction band are more in number compared to the generated holes. In intrinsic semiconductor we are having equal number of electrons and holes, right? Now when these impure atoms have been added, as a result the numbers of electrons have been increased compared to the holes, because extra electron has been coming from the impure atom, as well as electrons are also there due to the thermal excitation. So we can say as the numbers of electrons are more compared to the holes, so these electrons are the majority carriers and holes are the minority carriers. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So if we go with this p-type crystal, so let us consider we are having n plus 3 atom in the middle, that is, let us consider it is an indium atom. It is the vacant place, plus 4 atoms are there all around it. Okay, like this. So here a vacant place is exist due to the lesser numbers of charge carriers electrons in the valence shell of this group 3 elements, that is indium. Let us consider. So a vacant place which has been created, that is known as hole. So this vacant place may be filled by the electrons from the adjacent atom of the crystal, that is from the germanium, or from some other atom that is quite far away from this. So let us consider this location is given by X and this electron it is given by Y. So it may possible that this electron can shift to this vacant location. Now when this electron is shifted from Y to X, at Y a new hole has been created. So this way the charge carriers are moving in the crystal. So when we are connecting with some external circuit, we are supposed to get the flow of charge carriers, that is current in the external circuit. Now this indium atom, as it is having a vacant place where it can accept an electron, this impure atom are known as acceptor impurity or p-type impurity. Okay, it is known as acceptor impurity, as it can accept an extra electron at its outer shell. Okay, so we are supposed to get the p-type semiconductor due to this group 3 impure elements or group 3 impure atoms in the due to its vacant place exists in the outer shell. So obviously in this crystal, as the current is been exists in the external circuit due to the holes, so we can say that number of holes are the majority charge carriers in this crystal. Here the charge carriers are not at all due to the, conventionally we can say it is not at all due to the electrons, but it is due to the hole. But it is true that everywhere the charge carriers are exist as the electrons only. Previously the charge carriers are exist due to the electron, because electrons are extra in number because of the group 5 elements. Now here the electrons are only moving. Here a vacant place is there where an electron can go and recombine at that hole, or can take the place of that vacant place. So we can say that electrons are only moving. It is not at all something like that holes are moving. Holes are recognized simply by the vacant place. So at that vacant place any electron from another atom can go and acquire that location. So we can say that here the current which is exists in the external circuit, it is also due to the electron. In this case, when we have been considering p-type semiconductor, here also the current is due to the electrons only. But as we have been having a vacant place where an electron can go, so conventionally we can say that if this vacant place is been moved out from this location, at another location and vacant place will create. So we can say that in conversely that holes are moving, rather electrons are moving for this case, because when this vacant place is filled by an electron, at that place of the electron and another vacant place will be created. So every time that vacant place is been filled, a new vacant place is been created. So we can say that conventionally that yes, holes are moving, rather electrons are moving for the p-type semiconductor. But it is obvious that every time the current is exists in the external circuit, it is only due to the electrons. When the electrons are moving, the current is there. Okay, so when this group 3 elements are been added, an extra energy level is been added in the energy band diagram of this p-type semiconductor. Let us consider its conduction band. It is valence band. It is the forbidden energy gap, that is Eg. So extra energy level is been introduced with the introduction of this impure atom, trivalent impure atom. So that energy level, it is known as acceptor level. Previously that was level due to this donor atom. Now it is acceptor level due to this acceptor atom. Okay, so as a consequence we can say that here the majority charge carriers are holes. For the intrinsic semiconductor, by default there is electrons and holes, but due to the introduction of this trivalent impure atom, an extra hole has been created out of the remaining electrons and holes which are already been generated due to the excitation. But here extra holes are been there. Conversely we can say that here extra electrons are there or generated due to the n-type semiconductor, that is group 5 impure atom. Now holes are been created or holes are been added to this trivalent impure atom. So we can say that holes are the majority carriers. So the majority and electrons are the minority carriers. Okay. After this clear? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Now let us consider we are taking a case where a semiconductor is doped with both type of donor and acceptor impure atom. We have been doping with both donor and acceptors. Okay. So here you can look into this case that when this impure atom is donating an electron, it becomes positive ion. Now as this trivalent atom can accept an electron, it becomes negative ion. Just try to think. So we can say that for this n-type semiconductor, two types of charge are there. One is free electrons, which is negative, and one is due to this positive ion which have been exist in the crystal. Two types of charges are there in the n-type. One is the electrons which are free electrons which have been situated in the conduction band, and positive charge due to the positive ion which has been created due to the donation of this electron. Now for this p-type semiconductor, we are having the extra hole. So hole we can consider as the lack of electron. So if when an electron is been occurring this location, it becomes neutral. So we can say that yes, this hole is having the same amount but it is opposite. That is having opposite polarity. If an electron is having negative polarity, this hole is having positive polarity. So we can consider holes as an positive charge carrier but having the exact same amount of charge. Okay. So for the p-type semiconductor, when holes are created as the majority carrier, now the majority carriers have been contributing to the positive charge. Now when this trivalent impure atom is accepting an electron, so it is having an extra electron in the outermost shell. So as a consequence, this trivalent atom is having extra negative charge compared to the whole positive in the nucleus. So we can say that this impure atom now becomes a negative ion. Now become a negative ion. So we can say that the total charge for this p-type is due to holes. These are positive and also due to the negative ion. Also due to the negative ion. Okay. So for this case, the total charge is due to the electron. Total charge is due to the electron as well as the positive ion. As well as the positive ion. For this case, it is having the total amount of positive charge due to the holes as well as negative ion. Okay. So if this Nd, let us consider Nd, it is the concentration of donor atoms. Let us consider Nd, N suffix D. If it is the concentration or donor concentration, we simply write donor concentration. Donor concentration. So this is the donor concentration which is Nd is positive because the donor concentration means donor atoms. Now the donor atoms are the positive atoms or positive ions. Okay. So for this n-type semiconductor, we are having this donor atom as well as the electron. So the total charge here we are supposed to have the, let us consider N is the concentration of the holes, sorry, electrons. Electron concentration. Okay. And if we are having, it is for the type, right? Now let us consider for the p-type, Na is an acceptor concentration, and P is the hole concentration. It is in the p-type semiconductor. Now let us consider we are taking a situation or case where we have been doped with both type of impurity atom, that is trivalent impurity as well as the pentavalent impurity. We have been doping with both type of impurity. So as a consequence, after doping with type of impurity, we are supposed to have the donor concentration as well as acceptor concentration due to the donor impure atom, due to the acceptor impure atom, and after giving this donor concentration, due to this donor concentration, extra electrons have been created, and due to this acceptor concentration, extra holes have been created. So we can say that if this is a semiconductor bulk we are having, on that we have been adding with donor as well as acceptor. So on this, the total positive charge is this donor concentration, that is positive ion, as well as these holes. So this total positive charge is Nd plus P, and total negative charge is Na plus N. Okay, so we can say that after putting both type of impure atom, a semiconductor will become neutral. A semiconductor will neutral or electrically neutral. Okay, so this type of semiconductor is known as compensated semiconductor. When a semiconductor is electrically neutral, this kind of semiconductor are known as compensated semiconductor. It is compensated with both type of charge carriers. It is compensated with type of charge carriers. Now, if the number of donor atoms and the number of acceptor atoms are equal, that is, if we are considering Nd is equals to Na, donor concentration and acceptor concentration are same, that kind of semiconductor are known as fully compensated semiconductor. Now, when this condition is been arises where both type of atoms are same number, then the extrinsic semiconductor which we have been producing, that will not at all remain as extrinsic semiconductor. Now it will start behaving as an intrinsic semiconductor, because donor impurity and acceptor impurity are same in number. As a consequence, the generated electrons and generated holes are also will be same. Now the impure atom, due to this impure atom which are equal in number, so equal atom will generate equal number of charge carriers as electron or hole. So we can say that the extrinsic semiconductor which we are having, now it will become intrinsic. Okay. If second case, if Nd not is equals to Na, that case is known as partly compensated semiconductor. So let us consider, if we are having, when Nd is greater than Na, then we are supposed to have the, if Nd is greater than Na, then we are supposed to have N type semiconductor. If Nd less than Na, then we have the P type semiconductor. Okay. Now after this discussion, we can have a law that is known as mass action law. So according to that law, mass action law, what it says that under thermal equilibrium, the product of free electron concentration, that is N, and the hole concentration, that is P, is constant, and it is equals to Ni square. Ni is the intrinsic carrier concentration. So what it says, under thermal equilibrium, the product of free electron concentration that is N, and the hole concentration, that is P, is a constant which is equal to Ni square. So where this Ni is the intrinsic carrier concentration. So what we can say, N into P is Ni square. N is the free electron concentration and P is the hole concentration. So if we go with the multiplication of these two concentration under thermal equilibrium condition, we are supposed to have the square of the intrinsic carrier concentration. So obviously this intrinsic carrier concentration Ni is a function of the temperature. Okay, so when N or P is increased by addition of impurity, the corresponding, if we have been increasing the N by adding the impurity atom, after addition of the impurity atom, if N is increased, so obviously P will decrease to make this constant, that is Ni square, at a particular temperature. So if we have been considering a particular temperature, at that temperature if we have been adding donor atoms to have the increased amount of electron, then obviously holes will be decreased to have our condition Np is equals to Ni square. And if P is increased due to the addition of this Na, that is acceptor atoms, our N will be decreased to have the constant value of Ni square. Clear up to this? Up to this clear? Any doubt? Next we will discuss the distribution of energy of free electrons in metal. Okay, what we are going to do? What is the energy density? That is distribution of energy of free electron in a metal. That is energy density. That is the distribution of so distribution in energy of the free electrons in a metal. Let us consider. Now I am writing an expression, that is d n suffix e is equals to rho e into dE. So what is, I am just writing here, dN suffix E represents number of free electrons per cubic meter. Number of free electrons per cubic meter whose energy lies in the energy interval dE, whose energy lies in the interval dE, and this rho E gives the density of electrons in this interval. Okay, so D and E represents number of free electrons per cubic meter whose energy lies in the interval. Okay, so in this interval, this is the concentration of the free electrons, and rho E gives the density of electron in this interval. So if we multiply the density of electron within a energy level, within a energy interval, then we are supposed to have the numbers of electrons within that interval per cubic meter, okay, within the volume. So by considering this expression, we supposed to find out the position of the energy level in the semiconductor, different energy levels in the semiconductor like extrinsic semiconductor either in the or in the n type. Okay. Now, when we are considering the metal, what we are assuming that there is no potential variation within the metal. There is no potential variation. No potential variation since we are considering the metal. So, we'll construct our concept with respect to metal, then we'll apply this concept in the semiconductor as well. Okay. So, if there is no potential variation, then we can say that at each cubic meter in a metal we are supposed to have the same amount of electrons, that is rho e. Let us consider we are having a slab of metal. So on that metal we are supposed to have the subsections of each cubic meter. So if the potential variation is completely negligible, then we are supposed to consider that each subsection, which is the cubic meter per unit cubic meter, we are supposed to have the equal number of electron density. We are supposed to have the equal of electron density. Okay. Now, what is this rho e? How we can express this rho e? We can express in terms of function, that is the function rho e can be expressed as rho e is equals to Fe into Ne. So what is this Ne now? Rho e is the numbers of electrons, density of electrons in a particular energy interval. So how we are representing this rho e? It is the multiplication of Fe and Ne. So I want to know what is this Fe. Fe is the Fermi-Dirac distribution function. Now what is this Ne? Ne is the, we are considering numbers of electrons in the particular energy interval, that is dE. We are having the density of electrons in the interval, that is dE. Now Ne represents, so obviously when we are considering n numbers of electrons in a particular energy interval, so obviously those electrons will acquire some energy state. If we are having 10 numbers of electrons, then obviously in that interval each of the electron will having discrete energy state. So that is what Ne represents, the density of states. Density of states, or you can say number of states per electron volt cubic meter in the conduction band, as we have been considering only about the electrons in the conduction band. And Fe we already know, it is the probability that a quantum state means the energy state, a quantum state with energy E is occupied by an electron. Okay. So this is the number of electron or the density of electron in a particular energy interval. So what is this density? This density is equal to the multiplication of Fermi-Dirac distribution. That Fermi-Dirac distribution, obviously it says the probability that a vacant energy state is filled with an electron, and within that energy state which has been filled, this energy state are within a some density of states. Now let us consider we are having this kind of states we are having. Now within this particular location, if we are having a 10 numbers of energy states, so out of that energy state, which energy state is filled, that is given by the probability function Fe, and the density within this location, how many energy states are there, that is number of energy states, that is given by Ne. So obviously the numbers of electrons which we have been considered is to take a discrete energy state. Now out of this energy, whole of the energy state, this Fe will give you what is the probability that a particular energy state is filled with an electron. Clear? Now this Ne can be represented by the mathematical function, that is gamma into e to the power half. So here no need to think a lot of this, you just simply take a numerical expression. Here this gamma is a constant. It is having the numerical expression something like that, mathematical expression of something like that. Gamma is equals to 4 pi by h cube 2m to the power 3 by 2 1.60 into 10 to the power minus 19 whole to the power 3 by 2. The simplified value is 6.82 into 10 to the power 27 per meter cube eV to the power minus 3 by 2. So here m is the mass of the electron and h is the Planck constant. Mass of electron and h is the Planck constant. Up to this, you just simply, no need to think deeply about this mathematical expression. We simply use this mathematical expression to find some other concept. So let us leave this one for particular time. We'll go with this later. Now next we'll think about the conductivity of semiconductor. This is for the metal. Next we'll shift to the semiconductor. Yes.
Will you upload this video on YouTube again?
Yes, obviously.
Okay, sir.
Next, we supposed to go with the conductivity of semiconductor. So, in a semiconductor, two types of charge carriers have been there. One is hole, one is electron. So, obviously, due to the thermal excitation, electron-hole pair are generated. It is in pair of charge carriers have been created. So, two charge carrying particles are formed due to the thermal excitation. Let us consider. So one free electron with the mobility, the free electron which has been created, it is having the mobility of mu n, and other hole which has been created, that is having the mobility of mu p. So in a semiconductor we are supposed to have the electron and hole. It is the electron and hole. This electron is having the mobility of mu n, this hole is having the mobility of mu p. So obviously these particles will move in opposite direction when we are connecting an external electric field, when we are been giving an external electric field. Let us consider this is the semiconductor slab we are having. On that we are been providing an external supply like that. This is positive, negative, positive. A battery is been connected. So it's supposed to have the electrons, it's supposed to have the holes. Let us consider these are the electrons. Here these are the holes, equal number of holes are there. So obviously when this positive is been connected, so electrons will get attracted towards the positive pole of the battery. So they will move in this direction. Now this negative pole of battery will attract the holes. Is it like that? Whether they are attracting the holes? Obviously no. The negative polarity of the battery gives extra electrons to these holes. So as a consequence, the position of the holes or the vacant space which is been created by removing the electrons, they are starting filling up with the electrons which are been coming from the negative pole of the battery. So obviously we can say that the electrons are been acquiring these locations. So we can say that the holes are recombined with the electrons. So we can say that these holes are moving in this direction, the direction from which the electrons are been supplied from the battery. So obviously here electrons are been taken out and here the electrons are been given, right? So here electrons are been taken out, electrons are taken out by the positive pole of the battery, and here the electrons are given. So obviously in the external circuit we supposed to have the current flow due to the electrons only, right? But inside the semiconductor we supposed to have the current or the flow of charge carrier due to the two separate charge carriers, one is electron and one is hole. But in the external circuit we supposed to have the flow of charges only due to the electrons, right? So inside the semiconductor, when we have been talking inside the semiconductor, we are electrons and holes. Let us consider having the mobility of mu n and mu p. Okay, so when an external electric field is been provided, an external electric field is provided, we supposed to have the drifting of charge carrier. So as a consequence, inside the semiconductor we are having the flow of charge carrier. One is due to the electron, one is due to the hole. So that flow of charge carrier will give you some current density, that is J. That current density is having the contribution from the N as well as from the P. So this N, when it moves with the mobility of mu, and the holes when it moves with the mobility of mu p under the external influence, that is the electric field of, let us consider E, and when this term is multiplied with its charge value, that is E, it's supposed to give you the current density. So we can say that this whole part is sigma into E. So what is the sigma? Sigma is the conductivity. Sigma is the conductivity. It is equals to N into mu n plus P into mu p into E. Okay. So this is the conductivity inside the semiconductor. It is due to the electron as well as due to the holes. Correct? So obviously now if we are considering an intrinsic semiconductor, let us consider for the intrinsic semiconductor, it is the most general case for semiconductor. For intrinsic case, in intrinsic semiconductor, we obviously supposed to have N is equal to P, that is your Ni, right? So this N and P will be same in number. So we supposed to have the conductivity according to that. In extrinsic semiconductor, either N is greater than P or P is greater than N, right? So we supposed to have the conductivity according to that, right? So in this way we can say that yes, we supposed to have the conductivity inside the semiconductor due to the contribution of both charge carriers. Clear up to this? Next, let us see area concentration in intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor. Now, when we have been going with the calculation of the conductivity, it is our sole duty to find out the concentration of either electrons or holes, right? Either the numbers of electrons and holes, which what is the conductivity of that semiconductor. Either this N is greater than P or P is less than N. Sorry, it is N is less than P. N is greater than P and N is less than P. Okay. So calculate conductivity. Conductivity, we must have the idea of concentration of charge carriers. Okay, so what we have been finding? We have been finding in this way. Here we have seen that in a particular energy interval, what is the numbers of free electrons? It is for the case of metal. So we can use the same concept to find out the charge carriers, either the electrons or holes. So if we are having the particular energy interval, within that energy interval what is the number of charge carrier exists, or we can say that if in the extrinsic semiconductor we have number of charge carriers, so all those charge carriers within that interval are been taking which energy state. So by in the two separate way we can find out what is the total number of charge carriers. Either if we have the knowledge of the density of states, this Ne, then also we can find out within a particular energy interval what is the total number of charge carriers. Or if we are having the total number of charge carriers, we can also take out the idea that what is the density of state. Okay, so two way we can able to find out what is the concentration of carrier. Let us consider for the intrinsic semiconductor. So we are supposed to use the same expression, that is dN is equals to Ne into Fe. It was this rho E I am directly writing as Fe into Ne into Fe into dE. Okay, so here the dN represents the number of conduction electrons per cubic meter. Let us consider dN represents number of conduction electrons per cubic meter. Whose energy, what we have been seen earlier, that these energies are lying within this interval dE. Okay, so for this case we have been writing something like whose energies lies between an energy interval, that is consider E and E plus dE. Let us consider we have the energy interval between this dE. So we have been starting from E and going up to this E plus dE. So obviously we know the density of states is written as DOS. So let us consider for this case DOS having the same expression, that is Ne is equals to gamma e to the power half. So as we have been considering about the free electrons, so obviously those free electrons are lying in the conduction band, right? It is lying in the conduction band. So obviously we have been considering an energy level from E and up to the conduction band. So this expression will be modified something like that. For this free electrons, something like that, Ne will be gamma into E minus Ec to the power half. So here the energy states are completely on the conduction band, as we have been considering about the electrons. So this interval is from the our desired energy level to the conduction band, starting from conduction band, lower level of the conduction band, and going up to a particular energy level depending upon the number of free electron exists for that intrinsic carrier. Let us consider. So obviously that interval within this value, from starting from AC and going up to a particular energy level, it will be decided completely by the number of free electron exist for that semiconductor. Okay, so we know this Fe, it is having the expression something like this: 1 by 1 plus e to the power E minus Ef by kT. Okay, up is clear? We can consider the carrier concentration. So carrier concentration now is in terms of electrons only. Let us consider. Now we are supposed to see the position of Fermi level. Position of Fermi level. So what we have been taken the idea about the Fermi level, it is the highest energy level that can be acquired by the charge carriers at a particular temperature, right? At a particular temperature, it is the highest energy level that can be acquired by the charge carrier. Now let us consider, I am just drawing two separate diagrams. Let us consider this is your conduction band, this is your valence band, same here also, conduction band, the valence band. Let us take, this is the highest energy level for the valence band. Same for here, EV. This is your EC. Okay, here it is also EC. It is the lowest energy level for the conductor. Okay, this y-axis is representing the energy, and this x-axis we have been representing in terms of probability function Fe. Probability function Fe. This middle, it is the half. It is 0. It is 0.5. It is 1. 0. It is 0.5. It is 1. Okay. So what we have seen earlier, here. So this probability function is 1 if we have been considering the absolute 0. Then if we are at the level that is E less than EF, then we supposed to have the probability of 1. If we are having the energy level, where is that? If we are in the level that is E greater than EF, then we are supposed to have the probability of 0. Then at absolute 0, we have been talking about the absolute 0. Now, if we have been considering some other temperature, not at the absolute 0, but we are working at the Fermi level. If we have been considering at Fermi level, that is E is equals to EF, though the temperature is not at all the absolute 0, we are having the probability of half. So we are supposed to use this concept. So probability of finding an electron at Fermi level is 50% if we are having the temperature greater than 0 Kelvin. Okay, so let us consider for this case, this is the Fermi level EF. Let us consider, I am just telling you why it is like this. This is the middle. Okay, so when we have been considering half, if we are having or we are working on the, if we are working on the Fermi level, then only we can say that our, where is that? Yes. So if we are working on this level, that is E is equals to EF, we are having the probability of half. Now if we rotate this diagram something like this or this way, so here at the middle we are having the probability at the middle, right? So this middle line is considered for the temperature is equals to this line is considered for the temperature for T is equals to 0 K. So that is what I have written, that this is our E. If we have been having the energy level at this value, then we supposed to work on the temperature of 0 K. In the reverse way we are saying. So in this diagram, if we have been considering at T is equals to 0 K, if T at T is equals to 0 K, then we supposed to have the probability of 100% if we have been at the lower level of EF. If we are at the this region, if we have been working for T is equals to 0, then we are having the 100% probability. If we are having the energy level beyond the Fermi level, then we are having the probability of 0, right? But we are having the probability of 50% at EF when T is not 0, little bit higher than this. Now if we rotate this one, then we can say that we are at the energy level of EF if our temperature is 0 or little bit beyond that. We have been working on the EF. If we are working on the EF, then we supposed to have the probability of 50%. We supposed to have the probability of finding an electron EF 50% if we are working at 0 or beyond 0. So in the same way we can say that here we supposed to have the energy level at the middle of this EG. This is your EG, forbidden energy gap. We are at the middle of EG if we are having semiconductor slab at the T is equals to 0 K. If we have been working with the T is equals to 0K, then we are supposed to have the Fermi level at the middle of the forbidden energy gap. We will also find out this one mathematically as well. Okay. Now, if we have been increasing the temperature, then our Fermi level is shifting. If we have been working with the higher temperature, then we are supposed to have the probability either 1 or somewhat lesser than 1 or somewhat in this way. If we have been working with some other temperature, you just look at this diagram. This diagram, these curves are been bending with increasing the temperature. So if we are at this level, let us consider this is for the 2000 K. If at this level, we are supposed to have the probability of 100%, but it is lower than the value of EF. Now in this temperature, if we have been going beyond this EF or somewhat in this right hand side, then we are supposed to have the probability which is decreasing gradually, right? So in the same way, we can say that this EF is bending. In the reverse way, we are saying this EF, let us consider this for, this is something like this. Let us consider this is for 1000 K. We are supposed to have the more bending. Let us consider this is for our room temperature, that is 300 K. Okay. So gradually these EFs are being shifted considering or depending upon the temperature. So for the absolute zero temperature, we are having the EF, that is Fermi level, exactly at the middle of the forbidden energy gap. Now as the temperature increasing, so obviously temperature increasing, what does it mean? Temperature increases means number of charge carriers are also increasing. Why? Because it creates extra hole and electron pair. Now if we consider solely because of the n-type, let us consider we are having the n-type semiconductor. On the n-type semiconductor itself, it is having the higher amount of electron considered with the holes. It is having the higher amount of electrons considered with the holes. Now as we have been increasing the temperature, again the electron hole pair will generate it. So obviously numbers of electrons will again be more than the holes. Obviously the electrons which are being generated, they will be shifted to the conduction band, right? So the probability of finding the electrons will be more in the conduction band or near the conduction band. That's why with the increasing of temperature, this Fermi level is bending. It is going towards the conduction band. Now as the temperature is decreasing, now this is the curve for the room temperature. So obviously at the room temperature, number of electron hole pair generated will be less compared to this 1000 K. So obviously the electrons which are been in the conduction band will be less compared to the electrons which are been at the time of 1000 K. So obviously the probability of finding electron in the conduction band will be less compared to the probability of finding electron when the temperature will be 1000. So in this way, the Fermi level, the energy level at the this EF energy level is shifting depending upon the temperature. So for this diagram, we have seen that the probability is changing depending upon the energy level where we have been operating. Now for this case, we have been operating depending upon the temperature, and we have been looking the variation of the Fermi level. Previously we have been found the variation of probability function. Here the probability function is there. We are supposed to take the probability function, or we are supposed to find out the probability function depending upon the temperature. How this EF is varying depending upon the temperature. So obviously at 0 K, the semiconductor will be acting as an intrinsic. So obviously the equal number of electron and holes will be there. So probability of finding electron hole, so obviously EF is lying in the middle of the forbidden energy gap. So obviously numerically also. Now let us consider from this discussion, let us consider the concentration of electron in the conduction band. This discussion we have been continuing. This discussion here, this discussion we have been continuing So let us count the concentration of electrons in the conduction band. In the conduction band. So let us consider the concentration of electrons is denoting by small n. N is equals to what we have written. This is NeFeDe. So if we are taking n, we are supposed to do the integration, right? We are supposed to do the integration. So integration here, the integration will be with respect to the energy level. So for the conduction band, the energy from the lower energy state of the conductor, the lower energy state is EC. So we are supposed to take the integration limit from EC, and let us consider it is up to infinite. We can take the limit, but let us consider we don't know the numbers of charge carriers which will be generated. Let us consider it is infinite. So it is NeFeDe, right? So here we have been considering our E. That what is the E we have been considered? This E is greater than or is equals to EC. This E, the higher energy level which has been started from the EC. So obviously it will be higher or is equals to EC. Two conditions. So let us consider this E is greater than or EC. So for this case, this Fermi-Dirac distribution function E minus EF, that is the, let us consider this is your EF, it is your EC, and some energy level which is E. So obviously this E minus EF will be greater than, it will be positive, right? This E minus EF will be positive. So this E minus EF will be greater than or is equals to KT. Is equals to K, right? Because since it is in the higher order direction, that is having a quite higher value compared to the EF. EF is been situated in low level. This E, it is the, let us consider it is the last energy level of the last electron which has been in the conduction band. So obviously this value will be positive. So we have been considering E minus EF greater than is equals to KT. So if E minus EF is greater than KT, so we can consider this one can be negative. 1 plus e to the power something which is positive, so obviously it will be greater than 1. So we have been considering it is negative, that is 1 plus e by e to the power e minus ef by kt. It is quite greater than 1. So we have been considering, for our simplification, we have been neglecting this 1. So 1 by e to the power something, it is e to the power minus, right? So here we are considering Fe approximately e to the power minus of e minus ef by kt for our simplification. So we have to use these values over here. So this n, it is EC to infinite gamma, this n is equals to gamma e minus EC to the power half, e minus EC to the power half. Then this Fe is e to the power minus of e minus EF by kt into d. So what is the value? We know this gamma value is I am just writing here, the gamma is 4 pi by h cube twice m to the power 3 by 2 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 whole to the power 3 by 2. Okay. Now let us assuming for our simplification, we are assuming something like that. E minus EC is KT into X. So as a consequence, this equation will become n is equals to KT to the power 3 by 2 4 by root pi twice pi m by h square whole to the power 3 by 2 into 1.6 to 10 to the power minus 19 to the power 3 by 2 e to the power minus e minus ef e minus sorry, it is not e, we need to consider this e is e minus ec. So we need to put this e will be replaced by ec, right? So this one will be EC minus EF by kT integration 0 to infinite x to the power half e to the power minus x dx. Okay. So this is the simplification what we did. So next we find out a result for this. It is 4 by root pi. Though it is not required for you, the last solution is required since I am just deriving this value. It is twice pi m kT by h square whole to the power 3 by 2 into 1.6 10 to the power minus 19 whole to the power 3 by 2. It is e to the power minus of EC minus EF by kT. This is that solution, integral calculus beta function, right? It is root pi by 2. So here this one will get cancelled, this root pi will get cancelled. So we are supposed to have the value twice into twice pi m by kT by h square whole to the power 3 by 2 to 1.6 into the power minus 19 to into e to the power EC minus EF by kT. Okay. So here we have used this gamma value we have used. So ultimately what we can write that this n is equals to NC into e to the power minus of EC minus EF by kT, where n is this expression only we need. So NC is this large value, that is NC, I am just writing, it is 2 into twice pi m kT by h square whole to the power 3 by 2 into 1.6 10 to the power minus 19 whole to the power 3 by 2. Okay. So this is the expression we can find out. So obviously we have been considered our interval starting from EC and up to a finite value of E, up to which these energy states can be available for the electrons, right? So in this way we can find out a generalized expression for the yes.
Please, it's okay now.
So in this way we can find out the generalized expression for the concentration of electrons in the conduction band. It is the concentration of electrons in the conduction band. Okay. So this NC value, it is known as effective density of state. This NC, it is known as effective DOS in conduction band. Effective density of states in the conduction band. So in the same way we can also find out for the concentration of holes in the valence band. Up to this complete.
So NC equals to 2 pi m kT by
It is m. It is m. M is the mass.
It is N or H.
H. It is H. Planck constant H. H square. Okay. Next it is electron concentration. We can consider it is as electron concentration in conduction band. Next we are supposed to find out hole concentration in the valence band. in valence band. So same, we are having the all the valence electrons are lying from the EV and lower than the energy states, which is lower than EV, right, in the valence band. So here highest energy level of the valence band is EV. So all the holes which are lying in the valence band will acquire the energy states which are lower than the EV. So this interval for the holes will be starting from the lowest energy level, that is E, and up to the maximum, that is EV. The lowest up to E and going up to EV. And for the electrons, what we have been considered, the lowest is the EC and going up to E. How much the electrons will be there? So they will acquire. So for the valence band, the interval will be starting from the lowest one and going up to the highest, that is EV. So we supposed to have the this density of state Ne, that is gamma is into EV minus E to the power half, right? Now a hole, it has been considered as an empty energy level or the location which is lack of electrons, right? It is lack of electron. Now if the probability of finding an electron is Fe, then what will be the probability of finding an hole? Any guess? The probability, total probability is, we are having the charge carriers.
1 minus n.
Right. So if the probability of finding electron is Fe, then obviously the probability of finding hole is 1 minus Fe. So we are supposed to have the Fermi Dirac function for this case as Dirac function for hole is 1 minus Fe, right? So here the F is the probability that the level is occupied by electron. So we need to find out the expression as 1 minus Fe. So 1 minus Fe will be plus e to the power E minus Ef by kT by e to the power E minus Ef by kT, right? So we can find out approximate as minus of Ef minus E by kT, right? We can write like this. So here we need to take the condition something like that, Ef minus E is greater than kT. That fact we have been used here for E less than EV. Sorry, less than or is equals to EV. So if our considered energy states for the holes are lower than or is equals to EV, then we supposed to have this value Ef minus E is like greater than kT. So as a consequence we have been derived this expression. So this whole concentration that is given by B, that will be starting from lower energy level, let us consider minus infinite and going up to EV, that is gamma into EV minus E to the power half e to the power minus Ef minus E by kT into dE. So same way, by putting or EV minus E equals to kT into x, I am just skipping this part. So the last expression what we can derive, that is NV into e to the power minus of Ef minus EV by kT. So previously we have been found that is minus of EC minus Ef. Here we are having Ef minus EV, obviously because the holes will be lying below the Fermi level, or the probability will be lying below the Fermi level for the holes, and here the probability will be lying above the Fermi level for the electron. So here the NV is the density of states for the in the valence band, DOS in the valence band. Okay. Now we have been coming to this diagram what we have been drawn earlier. What is that page? it yes, this diagram, not this one. Where is that? So as I said earlier that for the intrinsic semiconductor, that is at the 0K, this Fermi level was lying in the middle of the energy gap, right? That thing I have said. Yes, here. At 0K, Fermi level is lying at the middle of the energy gap. So let us found how it is possible numerically. So we have derived the two concentration values. One is electrons in the conduction band, one is hole in the valence band. So obviously, Fermi level in intrinsic semiconductor. So obviously for the intrinsic semiconductor, the concentration of hole and electron will be same. Concentration of hole and free electron are same, right? That is what we can say, that this P and this N are same, right? And these concentration are known as intrinsic concentration, right? N is equal to, which is equals to Ni. So we can write the expression for this N, we can write the expression for this N, and we can write the expression for this P. So this expression of N is Nc into e to the power minus of Ec minus Ef, right, by Kt, and for this P it is Nv into e to the power minus of Ef minus E by Kt. We can equate these two, right? Now let us take the natural logarithm in the both side. If we take, then ln of, let us take Nc by Nv into ln of e to the power, we have been changing this one, so let us consider Ec minus F by Kt minus of Kt by, it will go to the, this one will go to the denominator, so we have been taken up, right? So Kt by Ef minus Ev. So from this we can find out it is Kt by Ec plus Ev by minus twice of Ef. We can write like this. So this side it is ln of Nc by Nv. So what is the Ef? From this we can find out this Ef can be written as Ec plus Ev by 2 minus Kt by 2 ln of Nc by Nv, right? So if the effective masses of electron and hole are same, then we can say that Nc and Nv are same, right? If this m value here, it's supposed to have the same kind of expression for this Nv. So if the effective masses of this electron and hole are same, then we can say that Nc is equals to Nv, right? We can say that Nc is equals to Nv. If effective mass of electron and hole is same, then Nc will become Nv. So we can say that F is equals to Ec plus Ev by 2. So what is this Ec and Ev? This is Ec, this is Ev. So Ec plus Ev by 2, that is at the middle. And in the another way also we can find, if T is equals to 0, that is absolute zero temperature, where it is acting as an intrinsic conductor. So in that case also we can say that Ef is equals to Ec plus Ev by 2, right? So we can say that for the intrinsic semiconductor, Fermi level is always lying in the middle of the forbidden energy gap. Clear? That is what numerically we can also derive. Clear up to this? So I am concluding up to this for today.